Hey, what's going on? It's Kayla. I'm finally back with Draft League content. I am a coach of RUDL season number 6. Link in the description to the channel that I will be running for it. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna be covering the whole league. I don't know if I'm gonna do like watch-alongs or whatever, but at least on the other channel, which again, linked in the description, that will be where most content about this league is going to be. It's going to be covering PRs, you know, weekly transactions, weekly games. It's pretty much going to be everything else for this league. So, yeah, I'm a coach, and I'm also somewhat of an owner of the league, which is really weird. But yeah, we have a draft breakdown, as you can see. There was a low-tier Paldea decks. Hydrapple was in it. Obviously all three of these Pokemon were in it. Skeledirge was in it. Feraligatr was in it. Low Kicks was in it. There was a lot of really fun lower tier mons, and with my first pick I was lucky enough to grab Hydrapple. Politoed went before this. What else went before this? Politoed did, and then Mienshao did. Mienshao was a really nice pick, but then like two other just like Toxapex was picked. And something else. Very strange, but I am happy to have Hydrapple. I traded up for Hydrapple. I originally had 15th pick, but I was lucky enough to get the 5th pick. And I really like this. I really like Hydrapple in this format. I think it's easily one of the best mons, if not the best mon. Regenerator is so good. But offensively, this mon does a lot to grounds, waters, which are probably the best types in this metagame. I'd say ground is probably one of the better types. Water is a little bit less just because there's still more waters. But especially having a good ground answer is really nice, and a good ground switching is really nice. So Hydrapple is really nice at that. It gets a lot of phasing, it gets detail, it gets yawn, it gets for setup, it gets nasty plot, it gets priority with Sucker Punch. Like, that's going to be important later on. I know this tier is messed up. This tier is totally messed up. This should be in the dragon type. And there's also, you can't see, but behind me there is a, actually here, let me put me here. Hey, so that is the Fighting Dark Psychic Court. So yeah, Hydrapple is just a really nice mon. You could do a lot with it. I really want to focus on offense first, which is why I picked Armorers next. Fire Psychic is just phenomenal offensive typing. It covers a lot of what Hydrapple can't. It can hit fairies, especially decent, deals especially decently. So that was really what I was looking for with this pick. It does a lot of what Hydrapple does. It also gets Taunt, which is really nice. It actually gets Clear Smog, which is gonna be really nice. I feel like phasing wise, you're gonna see this team is pretty much stacked with phasing. And as the coach of the Cincinnati Will-O-Wisps, I made it a point to try and get as many Will-O-Wisps as I could, and Armorers fits that very neatly. And Armorers, spoiler alert, is also going to be our fastest mon until our final 2 picks. So I hope you like base 75 speed. It gets 2 cores, it gets the Fire Psychic core, and yeah, it gets set up, its weakness policy. I think this mon pairs, again, phenomenally with Hydrapple. It can hit the grounds that Armorers can't. And they just switch very nice into each other. Armorers has decent bulk, so really phenomenal pick. 16 points for both of these, and then we had 85 points total to get 9 to 12 mons, which is very much not a lot of points, but I tried to make it worth it. I tried to get at least one amazing solid core and then go from there. Iron Thorns is my guy. I love him so much. I've used him once or twice as Terra Captain, and he is so good. He D-dances. You don't even need to, like, you can play bulk on this mon. It has some really nice resistances like fire, flying. Flying is 4 times resist, like bug resist. I think bug resist at least. Just a really good collection of resistances. I mean, the earthquake weakness and the close combat weakness is bad, but some really nice resistances. It offers the first pivot damage, which I classified as like volt switch, flip turn, U-turn, stuff like that. So that is why that is that. Hazards, I believe it only gets rocks and might get spikes, but even so, I have another mon that covers that amazingly, and it's going to be the pick after this. The speed tiers is wrong. It's going to be updated later. It gets T-Wave, it gets Dragon Tail again. Volt Switch is really, really nice. Taunt's really nice. D-Dance I mentioned before. This mon also covers flying types, something that Hydrapple can't really hit that well. It hits water types especially well, which is really nice for, you know, if I'm not running offensive Hydrapple, then it would be really nice to have something that can obviously hit those types. Darks are something that this team still can't really hit that well, but Iron Thorns does get, you know, loaded dice pin missile, so that could be really cool to see. But yeah, Iron Thorns is just phenomenal. It allows this team to kind of go into different directions. I get a pivoter from this core. That's going to be really nice. So it's not going to add any types, but honestly, like, I don't mind. It's probably coming every single week, just like Quagsire. Quagsire, oh my god, Quagsire. Such a nice mon, still on the board, and I'm not gonna lie, there were some crazy picks. Zoroark in the first round, crazy pick. Ninetale, Politoed not as crazy, but still like Rotom Mow, Ditto in the second round. Like a lot of things were going. Even Earthworm, like first round, I think it's a solid pick, but like very high, and that means that things are not going to be on the board very quick, especially lower turn on. So I wanted to grab those up, make them a point of emphasis to start picking up the essential things that this team's going to need, and that's Hazards. That is a tank, that is a mon that can take a hit, be able to, you know, pivot into Drapple, pivot into another mon, actually get up Hazards, actually, you know, dedicate a mon to Hazards. And this mon is Water Absorb, which is really nice because, you know, 2 water weak mons, I would like to clean that up a little bit. Unaware is also really, really nice, and honestly, Water Absorb was the top priority. I get the Fire, Water, Grass core done, which is a very balanced core, and in this case, I think it's extremely balanced for this team. And this was the core I really wanted to build around. As soon as I picked up Drapple, and as soon as I saw Armorage was still on the board, I was like, this is what I have to build around. So I really like Quagsire for this team. It technically gets set up, it gets Curse, it gets Yawn, Toxic, it gets T-Spikes, Rocks, it gets Recovery, which is really nice, same with Drapple. Phasing, it does get Haze. I feel like the theme of this league is going to be a lot of setup, so very nice to have that. A slower mon again, but Quagsire fills in a lot of holes for this team, so that's very important to me. And next, very important was getting a Steel type. Steel types were flying off the board, or at least the good Steel types were flying off the board, and I was like, I need my Steel type. My point situation, we're looking at, you know, 32, 48, 58 points already spent out of 85, so really had to go with the lower tier, and I liked Copperaja. I think Copperaja was really, really nice for what I wanted from this, from what I wanted from it. I wasn't planning on making it a Terra Captain, it just came that way. And it can tear into any type, which is going to be really cool. It's offensive, it's defense. I'm imagining, not to, you know, spoil what my team is probably going to end up with, certain sets I'm going to be bringing, but Copperaja, I imagine, is like Assault Vest. Primarily, I want something to, you know, check fairies besides Armorage. And it's slow, again, that's the theme of this team, it's very, very slow, but I want to start getting cores done, I want to start getting rolls done, I wanted a knockoff user as well with the Steel type, I wanted Rocks with the Steel type. Phasing, Taunt are just added benefits. Copperaja gets a really nice move pool, it gets Play Rough, it gets Rock Slide, Iron Head, I think Heavy Slam, Heat Crash, like phenomenal move pool. It's going to be great with Terra. Unfortunately it wasn't the one I planned on having Terra, but that's all good, and it will probably... it will do its thing, so I'm really happy about Copperaja on this team, and there were some teams that didn't even get a Steel type, so I'm very happy with Copperaja, and yeah. Next up, probably the only shiny Pokemon that I will be using on this team, maybe Iron Thorns, but I also couldn't find a Dream World Sprite for Komala without a shiny, so Komala, yeah, 6th round Komala pick. As you can see though, 115 mons were already off the board before this pick, so I was really looking for spinners at this point. I know hazards are going to be a big deal in this metagame, because offense is definitely lowered, so I want something that can spin away hazards. I already have a really good hazard setup, so really I just needed to get removal. And Komala does a lot. It gets U-turn, it gets rapid spin, obviously, it can set up, it has bulk up, it has SD, it has priority, you know, it has knockoff, it has wish, I think it has yawn. Like, this mon is just gonna be one of the unsung heroes. I could see this mon coming 3 or 4 weeks. Like, Kamala is gonna be really, really solid for this team. In my personal opinion, you know, obviously we'll see how the weeks go, maybe make a transaction here or there, but Kamala, really, really nice. I'm really happy about picking it up, even if it was a bit of an overpay. It's 2 points, and I think that's gonna be really solid for this team. It also gives me Ghost, something that, you know, I don't, again, spoiler alert, I do have a dark type, but the dark type is not, it's offensive. So I'm kind of letting myself up to stored power stuff. Next up, Weezing Galar was still on the board for 9 points. This is probably the best fairy left. It was really, really nice because I get another ground immunity. There's not too many Mold Breaker mons, so I'm really happy about that. I complete the Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I get a, you know, Taunt, I get Hazards, I get Clear Smog and Haze, I get, you know, Toxic, I think it gets Wisp as well, so that's number 2, Whisper. And the big thing, the funny part, is the pivot damage. Yes, you heard me right, this mon does get pivot damage, but it's Explosion, and it's Misty Explosion. I think those will be used at least once, because that would be, it's just really nice to have something like that, but this one's just going to be solid enough without that. It's really, really great. I did not put this in the speed tiers for some reason, but it's 60, I think it's base 60, I could be wrong. This one's phenomenal. It's just such a good mod, and it gets fighting resist, which this team, honestly, at this point I didn't realize, but yeah, no, like, Iron Thorns, Copper-Raja, which can tear it out, but still, and Kamala, which especially physically frail. It was really, really nice pick. It gives me, again, a lot more roles to fill, which was point of emphasis for sure. Shout out to Iger. But I really like Weezing Galar. I think it's a really good fit with this team. It's a really good fairy type in a meta without much good fairy types. And 9 points to me was a steal, so I'm really happy with Weezing Galar. Next up, Rotom Fan. This is an error, 155 I think, pick or something like that, 156. Nevertheless, Rotom Fan. I love Rotom Fan. I'm a huge Rotom Fan supporter. And it is also in the wrong tier. It should be in the higher than 75, but I didn't change that because I want to get this video recorded, whatnot, because PRs are coming out, everything's coming out, so I want to film this as quickly as possible, get it done. Rotom Fan does a lot of good. Pivot was something I was looking entirely into. I really only have Kamala and Iron Thorns as reliable pivot users, and even then Iron Thorns I don't think it's going to be running it too often, so I really like Rotom Fan as a pivot user. It gives me another statuser, the third Will-O-Wisper, and the final Will-O-Wisper. It gives me 2-wave, and it does have Sucker Punch, but it's not Gen 9, so unfortunate. But this one's gonna give me another ground resist, it's gonna give me another fighting resist. It's just a really, really good mon, and I think this fits the team very well. It gives me another tank, gives me another, you know, momentum on. It also does have setup. I was very conflicted whether or not to put it, but I figured I probably was not going to be using setup Rotom Fan, but it does have setup. It was 7 points. At this point we only have 5 points remaining, and we have 8 mons. So I already knew I had this mon planned out from like the 5th pick, and at one point I even said its name. I think it's crazy that it's 5 points. I think it's going to be really good with Terra, and that's Sneasel. I was between Sneasel and Sneasel Hisui, but Sneasel edged it out for me. It doesn't have close combat, which was like the one thing I'm like, ugh, really wish I had CC, but it does have knock, which is something Sneasel Hisui doesn't, which is so weird, but gives me another knocker, gives me taunt, which is, you know, fine. I don't know how often it's gonna run it. More importantly, it gives me setup and priority. The speed Terra. This mon's fast, it hits hard, especially with Terra. I can Terra out of bad types, I can Terra into better types, I can like Terra electric and like, you know, do stuff like that. It not entirely fixes my speed tiers, but it does make them a little bit more manageable. There's some teams with, crazy enough, worse speed tiers than this, but I'm really happy with Sneasel. I don't have a fighting type, but I feel like the two mons that can Terra kinda, like, are fine. Like, they can Terra into fighting, and fighting is a very offensive-based typing, so I'm not too worried about not having a fighting type. Is there any other types I don't have that I was like, oh, I really need that type? I think, let me check. Oh, coverage-wise with this team, the only types that we can't really attack with are special ice types and physical flying types. Those are the only types we don't really have coverage for. But again, like Sneasel, Terra Flying, and Copperage Terra Flying are fine, so I'm not too worried about that. The ice is a little but we do have Quag, and we also have physical ice, so I'm not too worried about that. And then for so yeah, fighting, bug, and ghost are the only types we're missing. Bug, I kind of wish we had just for the ground type. Maybe another fighting resist would be nice, but we kind of loaded up on a lot of those as tanks, which I think was really nice. I love a defensive dark type. I think that's really the only type that this team is missing, like defensive dark knockoff mon, like a Bisharp. But I like Sneasel. I think it does a lot of good. And yeah, really nice Terra Chasm. So that's the team. I tried to keep this on the shorter side. And how did we do? About 20 minutes, so I'll take that. I hope you liked the little VTuber thing or whatever. I spent some time trying to work on it and get it done, but yeah, it's gonna be our little thing. I'm probably gonna keep experimenting with it and like adding bouncing this or whatever. I hope you're ready for the season. For hopefully more uploads. ASL is right around the corner for me. UBDL might be having another season where I'm actually gonna be like a coach and like actually gonna be giving a shit about the league. I feel like I can come back to the draft content, to more uploads, and yeah. So oh, logos. Oh my god, I forgot that. I did make the RUDL logo. I made this logo, the Cincinnati Willow. This is probably gonna be my only logo for now. I really want to make a logo that kind of says who I am. I haven't made a logo for myself and I think like over a year, which is crazy because I used to make them consistently. So Cincinnati Willows is gonna be the team for now for until I'm not in this gothic phase anymore. But yeah, I'm really happy. Back to draft, and I will see you guys later. Peace.